In 2016, a number of normally sensible people professed to be shocked when I said that the European governments would be wise to sink the refugee ships that were crossing the Mediterranean. As it happens, my opinion was not based on any heartlessness or cruelty, but on my knowledge of ancient history. Consider this heart-rending account of a people in dire straits. This is a lesson from history. It's taken from the Byzantine Empire by Charles Oman. About the year AD 372, the Huns, an enormous Tatar horde from beyond the Don and Volga, burst into the lands north of the Euxine and began to work their way westward. The first tribe that lay in their way, the nomadic race of the Alans, they almost exterminated. Then they fell upon the Goths. The Ostrogoths were crushed and compelled to become vassals of the Huns. Then the Huns fell on the Visigoths. They were more civilized, most of them were Christians, and the prospect of slavery to savages seems to have appeared intolerable to them. Pressed against the Danube and the Roman border, the Visigoths sent in despair to ask permission to cross from the emperor. No less than 200,000 fighting men, besides women and old men and children, were there on the riverbank, stretching out their hands with loud lamentations and earnestly supplicating leave to cross, bewailing their calamity and promising that they would ever faithfully adhere to the imperial alliance if only the boon was granted them. Who among you would be so heartless, so cruel, as to deny hundreds of thousands of desperate women and children refuge from some of the most savage warriors ever to slaughter the innocent in the recorded history of man? Not the Roman Emperor Valens, although he was not unmindful of the potential for trouble, and took what he felt to be the necessary precautions. Provide them with refuge, but disarm them so they can't cause you too much trouble. Isn't that what you would do, being both a good, moral person and a wise, cautious individual? The Roman officials first tried to disarm the immigrants, but the Goths were unwilling to surrender their weapons and offered large bribes to be allowed to retain them. In strict disobedience to the emperor's orders, the bribes were accepted and the Goths retained their arms. There followed a year of desperate fighting all along the Danube. The Goths, half-starved for many months and smarting under the extortion and chicanery to which they had been subjected, soon showed that the old barbarian spirit was but thinly covered by the veneer of Christianity and civilization which they had acquired in the last half-century. Towns were sacked, and the open country harried in the old style. Only 6 years after permitting hundreds of thousands of poor, desperate refugees to cross the river, the Emperor Valens and 50,000 of his best soldiers were dead at their hands. 38 years after the Goths crossed the Danube, Alaric the Goth sacked Rome itself. It may not take 38 years this time. And that, my dear bleeding heart moralists, is why you always sink the damn ships. This is Voxiversity. I'm Vox Day.